Welcome to season 2 of the Energy Upgrade podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, master biohacker and successful entrepreneur. In season 1 of the Energy Upgrade, you got to have a taste for my obsession in all things health, energy, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and biohacking, or how to take radical responsibility in living a life by design. As a certified health coach, integrated health practitioner, kinesiologist, and seasoned entrepreneur who built and sold a 7-figure business, I want to dive deeper in this season 2. After healing myself from burnout, from my health falling apart, my hormones leaving my body, I'm here to share everything I wish someone had told me. Every day, I have the incredible opportunity to be mentoring women and supporting them in becoming true magnetic energy bombs. I'm helping them remember who they were all along. It's so powerful that I want to take you in on the journey, almost as if you were a fly on the wall. You'll find that I'm not your typical health coach, and I'm not your typical business coach either. I'm somewhere in between with a lot of spirituality sprinkled in there. This podcast is a sacred place where I come and share with you things that will bring you a high return on investment, because yes, I'm all about ROI. Life goes fast, and if I can show you a shortcut or two, I'll have succeeded at bringing you value. Thank you for being here. Let's go.
Your time is now. Your energy is your life force. You want to be able to magnetize your wildest dreams. A liver detox is the fastest way to start healing. You can and you will.
Welcome back to another episode of the Energy Upgrade. And today I am particularly excited because I have a guest that I really look up to. And it was such a powerful conversation. We're diving into the world of peptides when it comes to skincare and aging with Dr. Carolina Oliveira. She is the CEO and co-founder of OneSkin, a wonderful, non-toxic skincare company that I discovered last year in 2023 when I went to the biohacking conference. I had the pleasure of meeting Carolina and her team in person and really diving deep into the science. I got to see her again at my integrated health practitioner conference, also in 2023. So we knew we needed to have this conversation where we could geek out on the podcast, obviously with my background in the skincare industry, and really now seeing all of the, the talk tracks that are in that industry and being able to see through that. It was very interesting for me to have a real conversation about, okay, is retinol any good? And how are peptides different? And what about aging? How do we work with aging? Can we reverse aging? And it turns out with OneSkin, their data is absolutely incredible. And it actually targets the root cause of aging. So prepare to have your mind blown. I just want to give you a little bit more information on Carolina because she is a powerhouse. She holds a PhD in stem cell biology and tissue engineering. She is the co-inventor of 5 patents and co-author of numerous scientific publications. She relocated from Brazil to Silicon Valley in 2016 to found OneSkin, a fast-growing longevity company developing products to promote skin age reversal by targeting a central driver of aging, the accumulation of senescent cells. Carolina and her team are disrupting the outdated anti-aging skincare industry with their groundbreaking research around skin and longevity. And I couldn't agree with this more. This conversation was so amazing. For those of you who love some good data, some good science, well, you're going to love this, but rest assured we kept the conversation really approachable because at the end of the day, I want you to feel empowered to make better decisions, in this case, for your skin, which, let's remember, it's your largest organ, but it's also your main way that your body is detoxifying every single day. So what you put on it really, really matters. And that's why I love that this company is not afraid of sharing the truth on the ugly part of the skincare industry out there. So Without further ado, buckle up, my friends, and let's dive into this beautiful conversation. Here we are, Dr. Carolina Oliveira from OneSkin. Thank you so much for being here today with me.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Yes, we had the pleasure of getting to know each other very quickly at the biohacking conference last year and at the Integrated Health Practitioner Conference also. So twice last year. And I've come across your beautiful skincare line, and I just got so fascinated by your story, the story of peptides, and I just thought everybody needs to know about this, right? As I was sharing with you, I've was in the skincare industry since 2010. I worked with L'Oreal. I launched one of, I guess, maybe of your competitors or benchmark brand SkinCeuticals and in Canada. And when I started healing myself, I realized how we weren't necessarily nourishing our skin or healing our skin because we were actually adding toxins, right? It's something I talk about quite a bit, that a lot of the luxury skincare brands out there are packed with toxins that are in fact making our skin worse.
Yeah.
And so at the time I was like, okay, so what are my options? What am I left with? What I do want a functional skincare line that will help heal my skin. But I didn't really know where to go. And I wasn't really willing to compromise, the look and feel. And then your brand arrived on my lap and I was like, this is it. So I want to talk about peptides. I want to talk about senescent cells. I want us to geek out today. But first and foremost, I want you to share your story because you came from Brazil in 2016. You are the co-founder, the CEO of this beautiful brand, OneSkin. But it wasn't always pink and rosy for you coming here. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from your journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, happy to share. So I grew up in a very small town in Brazil, and I left home when I was 15 to pursue like a better education because my city was so small that we didn't have like really nice schools. So I was always very driven in terms of pursuing education and really find the place that I could grow myself. And it didn't matter if it was like in Brazil or in Japan. And luckily, I got a lot of support from my parents. And at the beginning, I didn't know exactly if I want to go to medical school because I was always very passionate about, human health. But I love the research side. I didn't love like hospitals, but I really want to dedicate my life to develop some kind of research that would make a difference in humans' lives. And at the beginning, I thought that would be by finding a cure for certain disease that we all experience as we grow older. And so I did my PhD in stem cell biology and tissue engineering. That was an area that I'm still very fascinated about because stem cells, they have so many potential applications in our lives. And that's how I actually started my first company back in Brazil in 2014. So we're finishing our PhD. I got together with two other colleagues and we decided to start this company that we were building human tissues in the lab based on stem cells. And it was an interesting approach because we were using these tissues to replace animal testing, which is a very valid proposal, but we didn't find a lot of traction in Brazil, so the market was not ready enough. And mainly for a biotech startup, we didn't find the support, the investment. So this led us to look for other opportunities. And then we found this opportunity here in the US, in San Francisco, to move here and start a company here, start over basically from scratch. And when I got that opportunity, I said yes without even thinking because I knew that if there was a place that I had like the best chance to succeed would be here in San Francisco. It's the hub of innovation, and even for biotechs, one of the best places to be. the other thing that I didn't know was like, okay, I was not prepared at all to, to land here in this Silicon Valley where everything is so competitive and people are so smart and effective, and I could barely speak English. So I so I arrived here by myself and started this, this program. And in the beginning, everything was, going wrong. We couldn't find like where we needed to focus, where we would find like traction. But eventually, I was always so determined that no, this is gonna work. I'm gonna continue to try my best every day. And a lot of people really somehow they disencouraged me, like, hey, maybe you should go back to Brazil and find something there that will, like maybe you'll have a better chance there. And I just, wrote down those names like, okay, you're on my list. I'm gonna prove you wrong. And I'll come back
I love
in a
that.
few years. We're gonna talk about that. So all of those people that didn't believe me in me just made me feel so much more like fueled to really go after that dream. And for me, I knew two things. One is that I was pursuing my purpose. Like I was always really passionate about using science to really transform people's lives. And I knew that this was my opportunity. So I never thought of giving up. And second, when I thought of, okay, if I go back to Brazil, is there anything else that I see myself doing? Or can I start a company back there? And no, like I didn't have another option. So my only option was to make this work. So I was full in. And as I said, the first like year was really hard. I got a lot of no's until you keep pushing, keep doing your best. And then you get your first yes. And then little by little, you're gonna start like attracting the people that believe in that same vision, that same dream. And then fast forward, 8 years later, here we are with this incredible company. But even like not only the first year was really hard, even like the first 5 years, they were really uncertain because as on a startup, until you launch a product and until you start to get traction and you find what we call like product market fit, okay, people really love this product and now we can grow. It's everything is uncertain. So it's
Mhm.
really hard to get funding. It's really hard to really, to continue keeping the company alive. So I would say even after the first year that we launched, we were not like, okay, we're gonna make this happen. I knew that we would make this happen, but it was not, easy. So now, after we were able to really solidify ourselves in the market, now I feel that we are in a much better place. Obviously, it's all about the growth now, but I know that there will be still like some moments that things can crash. So it's all part of this entrepreneurial journey, and you need to really build like a thick skin, because I usually say it's not for everyone, but for those that enjoy this ride, it's very fulfilling at the same time, because once you have something that is really changing people's lives and you get that feedback, you get that testimonial, is just the best like reward that you can expect. And then you feel that you are in control. You feel like everything it's based on my, not only my decisions, only obviously about the team that I'm building, but you don't feel that people can tell you how you should act or what's your
Mhm.
value. You are in charge. So that's the piece that I love about being entrepreneur. You're in charge, and it's for the good and for the bad. Like when things are going bad, you need to really find ways to support your team. But obviously, you have so much more autonomy in create something that you believe in. And that's what I love about it. So,
Yeah, I always say the entrepreneurial journey is like such a roller coaster. You have to just be ready for the ride. It's a
yeah.
lot of highs, a lot of lows. But ultimately, like you said, for me too, the freedom, the freedom, the liberation that comes with it, but most importantly, connecting with the impact that you are
Yeah.
creating. So I love that. And seriously, having a product-based business nowadays is not for the faint of heart. So my hat's off to you, because it is so competitive. And like we were talking offline before, like you're up against the, L'Oreals of this world
Yeah.
and the big companies that have been doing this for 100+ years. And but I do appreciate that you come at it from an angle of full innovation. And I want to dive into this. I'm like discovering the world of peptides. Every day I learn something more, and it's just so fascinating. And should we dive right into the one that you found? You're calling it OS01.
OS1. Yeah, OS1.
OS1 is the specific peptide that you're using. So I know that it took you a while to actually found that one.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk to me about that?
Yeah. So going back to when we came here, initially we're not even thinking of creating a product or a brand. We were initially testing anti-aging products that were already in the market to validate if they actually work, if they can actually reverse the age of the skin. Because we could grow human skins in the lab, we can actually measure that. But really fast, we realized that most products out there, they were not targeting aging itself. They were just targeting the symptoms of aging. So if you think of retinols or acids that are usually the most used anti-aging products, they are peeling off the upper layers of your skin. You grow a newer, a fresher skin. So it looks like younger, but you are not necessarily addressing what's driving aging underneath. And on the flip side, we were so on top of what's going on in this longevity and aging field that now we understand better what's driving aging in our cells and our tissues, and how we could come up with a better approach to actually reverse aging. So that's when we were focusing on cellular senescence, or the accumulation of those old cells that build up in our tissues as we grow older. And this became one of the main drivers of aging. And the scientists have shown that if we find a way to reduce the amount of those old cells in our tissues, we can actually rejuvenate the tissue, because these old cells, they usually secrete inflammation. So basically what they do, they induce the healthy cells around it to age faster. And then this accelerates aging. So imagine like a rotten apple on a basket, like that rotten apple is that old cell that's really spoiling the good cells around. So we don't want those cells in our tissues. And what happens when we are young is that our immune system can clear up those cells, but as we grow older, we lose that ability to clear up those senescent cells, and then they start to accumulate in our tissues. And we knew that accumulation in the skin had a huge impact in the skin aging. So we decided to look for new peptides that would address specifically senescent cells, that would decrease the amount of those senescent cells in the skin. And that's when we started screening or testing nearly 1,000 peptides.
Hmm.
And this took us, as you said, like 3-4 years just to get to this screening phase, to find OS1. And then after that, we needed to validate the safety, efficacy, and to formulate the product. But basically, the effect of OS1 is that it can increase our cells' ability to repair DNA damage. So the cells don't get to that damaged state, the old state that they become senescent. And then you have less inflammation in the tissue, and then you increase more collagen production, more hyaluronic acid production, which leads to a better skin appearance. So it's all by understanding from inside the cell what's driving aging, and then addressing there instead of like just targeting the surface. It's from within, as you said.
I love that, because that's how I work also with my clients, is like symptoms are not the root cause. Like, where is
Yeah.
this coming from? Like, why are you having digestive issues, or why are you feeling the way you're feeling? Like, really looking under the surface. And obviously, senescent cells have an impact. Now, you're referring to how it works on the skin, but they have an impact everywhere in the
Yeah.
body.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
mhm. So and maybe before we go even further, as you were talking, I just realized maybe some people don't even know what peptides are. Do you want to
Yeah.
give us a little 101 on that?
Definitely. So peptides is basically a chain of amino acids, and they are the building blocks of a protein. So for example, collagen, that's one of the main proteins that are in our bodies, in our cartilage, in our skin. It's made of a lot of peptides, a lot of chains of peptides. And then a certain peptide can function as a messenger. So it can enter in our cells and can activate some different pathways that will induce the cells to behave in a certain way. So, for example, this peptide enters in our skin cells and activates DNA repair pathways. So, our cells are more resilient to DNA damage when this peptide is inside the cell. And that's a very good experiment that we do in the lab, in which we expose the skin cells to UV damage and we treat with the peptide right after. And we see that the cells that were treated, they don't accumulate the damage compared to the cells that were not treated with the peptide. So
Mm.
I love biology because it's so interesting how this small molecule, so it's a chain of like 10 amino acids, really small, can enter in a cell and can have like this very beautiful effect. And what we are doing is basically using our own biology to work best for us, because when we are young, our cells have this ability to repair damage efficiently, but we lose this as we grow older. So we are
Mhm.
recovering that ability with a little help of this peptide, and it has like an immense impact on later on, like in reducing inflammation, and then it's gonna affect the collagen levels. But it's interesting how this molecule can basically work as a messenger. It goes inside the cell and says like, okay, let's work harder here, let's
Mhm.
let's fight this damage here, and then it keeps our skin functioning better.
Yeah, exactly. Peptides are messengers. And so OS1 is naturally found in the body.
Actually not. So
Okay.
we started with the first screening that we did was a library of like peptides, antimicrobial peptides. So once we got it to some that worked well, we made some modifications to make them to work better. So this is
Mm.
a completely novel peptide, but it's very safe. We have done all the safety studies to evaluate if it would cause any toxicity, any mutagenesis, any change in karyotyping or sensitization, and everything came out clear. So we are very confident that this peptide is only bringing benefits. There is no side effects, even though it's not a naturally occurring peptide. And there is a similarity with 70% of other peptides in our body, but it's not 100% similar.
Okay.
So it's a novel, and that's why it's patented. That's why OneSkin is the only company that has this peptide in our products. And it's the only peptide that we have been, that is validated to reverse the skin biological age, to actually make your skin to function like a younger skin, which is really exciting as well.
Yeah, and that's what I love about functional skincare, really, because this is not just a cream, although it is moisturizing, right? But you are actually reversing biological age of the
Yeah,
skin. Like, that's huge. And um as you were saying, aging, we know now, is actually a symptom. It's not
yeah.
anymore like it's actually it's something that can be looked into and reversed if we take the proper care, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I'm so passionate about this field, because once we know that aging is malleable, is reversible, so in the lab we can reverse a cell that's like from 30 years old to a neonatal cell, basically, a
What?
baby cell. So we know how much we can actually manipulate, our aging process in vitro in the lab. And now we are doing this with products, and we'll be able to offer even like more significant age reversal technologies in the future as the science evolves. But right now, this peptide is already like a really disruptive molecule that is proving to be able to reverse the age of the skin. So just for you to understand what that means in numbers, in the lab, we have shown that we can reverse 2.5 years the age of the skin over a course of 5 days, which is like very short, but it's in a lab condition. But we have done a clinical study that lasted for 12 months, and participants that used the cream for 12 months reduced on average 3.6 years in the skin biological age. So meaning that you are not only like getting older, you are reversing back, some of that time, which I think it's, mind blowing. And I think it's just the beginning of this whole revolution that we're going to see in the longevity and the science, and how we are going to transform this into technologies and products that will help us. The goal is really to live like healthier longer, right? It's not to get to that sick stage. So we're starting with the skin. A lot of other companies are doing for, other tissues. And I believe that in the future, we'll be able to really address in our whole organism, as we're already doing, but in a even more like pronounced way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like 3.5 years in 12 months is like, it's amazing. And what I love about it is it's not enough to change you, right? In the world of like Botox and fillers and, where people are starting to, I personally, I think, there is something to be said about aging, and there's like embracing that. But if I can look 3 years, if my skin can be 3 years healthier, like I'll take it. I'll still look like myself, but it'll just be more glowing, more radiant, more hydrated, more, more plump, right?
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Definitely, because you're basically, again, bringing your skin like to this younger state. We mean that your skin is healthier, so it's better for your whole body, right? We
Exactly.
wanna we need to remember that our skin, it is first and foremost an organ that protects our internal body against infections, against microorganisms, and different types of environmental stressors. So we needed to keep that organ functional and intact. And as we age, and a lot of times wrinkles is not the main problem, but when you start seeing your skin like flaking or irritated, and the skin barrier is, it's breaking up.
Compromise. Yeah.
Yeah, compromise. That's when your health is getting compromised as well. And there are even studies showing that as your skin ages and there is more inflammation coming from your skin, that can actually elevate your internal levels of inflammation as well. So it's not only treating your face to be looking, younger, is to treat your whole body, so your whole skin is healthier, is stronger, reduce the levels of inflammation in your skin, and consequently, your internal levels of inflammation, because this will be associated with many chronic diseases, and that's what we want to avoid.
Yeah.
So yeah, and in the end, as you said, is something that is natural. It's not that we are completely changing who we are. We are just like making our own biology to work well for us for longer.
Yeah. Biohacking. But that's a good segue to the product you launched last year, which is the body product, because now with that concept of the fact that our skin is our largest organ, it is protective, it needs to stay healthy, it needs to stay resilient. You launched this body product, which is really all about that, right? Protecting the envelope, if you will. Do you want to share more about this exciting product? I know I was blown away by the science.
So it was very interesting, because once we launched the face product, a lot of other brands would launch another face product, right? Like 10 products for the face and none for your body.
Mhm.
And because we knew that we want to treat your skin as a whole and skin health is our main priority, we went straight to the body, even not knowing if this product would sell well, because it's not as common to have like anti-aging, I would say, products for the body. But we knew that this was important for our health and we went for it. And we were so impressed at how many people really appreciated the body. And that's where we see so many dramatic results. I mean, we see with the face as well, but I think because people take less care of their body. So people with very fragile skin see like the thickening of the skin, so the skin doesn't tear or bruise as easily, or it's not as itchy, because this happens as we grow older, but most of us don't realize until we have, either our family experiencing it, because it's not something that obviously the media talks about, but it really impacts our well-being. And also like improving preventing and improving the crepiness of the skin, because that's another area that, again, we just look for the wrinkles and fine lines on our face. And then only when you're starting to see those changes in our body that we are going to realize, okay, that's also, affecting me as well. So this product has been such a great confirmation that our approach was correct, and there is a real need, a real pain for this problem. And more than that, we were able to run this clinical study that we are just wrapping up, and we're going to publish the data soon. But we were able to confirm that so what we did was we recruited, I think was like from 25 participants, actually was 50 participants, but some of them used the control and some of them used our body product. And we collect blood before we start the study, and they use the body product for 3 months, and then we collect their blood again to measure how our body treatment would impact the levels of inflammation. And we could see that we reduced some very important markers of inflammation, and even improve the overall, texture and appearance of the skin in a significant way, which didn't happen with our control. So for us, it's a two-way, like it's a double benefit here, because it's like improving the markers of inflammation and health, and also improving the appearance and making your skin really strong in your whole body. So
Yeah, I love it. It's basically like taking a supplement, but it's going directly, you're applying it directly where you need it, right? Because
yeah,
you're reducing those senescent cells over the whole body when you're applying that cream.
yeah.
And so that's why it's reducing inflammation everywhere. But I just thought it was so cool to see that even at a systemic level, you're able to create change, which is proving, why when you're choosing the wrong products, it can really make you, it's toxic. If you're
Yeah.
choosing products that are full of fragrances or that are
Mhm.
full of chemicals and man-made chemicals, it will disrupt, your body in
Yeah.
so many ways. So
Yeah, and when you think about, treat if you treat your face with some of those toxic products, it's bad. But if you treat your whole body, it's even the impact will be way bigger, right? So if you have like some hormone disruptors, if you have any other, toxic ingredients, and it's really sad to see, because we see a lot of products with like good active ingredients, but then they load it with a lot of toxic ingredients. So the end
Mhm.
result, and we see this in the lab a lot when we treated the skins with some products that we compare just to see how our is performing. And some very, luxurious brands, like they have good actives, but there are so many toxic ingredients that when we apply the product into the skin completely degenerates. So we can see the toxicity at a very clear way, which most people can't see because they don't have all these lab, tools. But it's just like really impressive and shocking, and how our skin is, is being affected, and how is connecting directly with our internal body. So that's why we needed to be so careful with the ingredients that we are putting in our body on a daily basis. And that's for us, one of our main rules is like cause no harm. Don't disrupt like the barrier, the health of your skin. And then on top of that, obviously, be effective, be deliver that result. But first and foremost, don't harm your skin.
So important. I can't help but make a parallel almost with all the marketing, and I mean the skincare industry is like $1 billion industry. I don't even know where it's at now, but it's
Yeah,
wild.
it's massive. Yeah.
And I can't help but make it parallel with the pharmaceutical industry, because here you are putting these products that are actually disrupting the skin, creating more issues. But hey, isn't that great? We have a product for that. And oh, but wait, we have another product for that.
Yeah.
And so you're like stuck in that vortex. And it became so clear to me when I started, really healing myself and studying. And I was like, oh my God, okay, we have to be careful here. We have
Yeah.
to be really mindful of what we're putting on our skin, because we're trying to treat aging, but the only thing we're doing is causing more of it.
Yeah.
And so it just didn't make sense for me. So I've been using your products for probably 6 months now. Yeah, since June last year. And I just, I just love how it feels. And I do have a question, because, I always believed, and I still to this day use vitamin C. And the premise for vitamin C for me in my head is like, I'm wanting to neutralize free radicals
Yeah.
coming from the environment, coming from, UV, infrared, blue light from these
Yeah.
screens, all the things. But now that I hear you and I hear how senescent cells are working, what's your vision? Do you think vitamin C is indeed like a good complement, or do you think it's maybe not necessary?
No, I do think that the antioxidants still have their role, and because we are creating so much, so basically the free radicals will lead to more senescent cells, because when you have all of that damage from UV, from pollution, and so on, you are causing those free radicals that will damage the DNA of our
Mm-hmm.
cells.
Yeah.
And the more damage our cells, the more they will enter into that senescent state. So meaning that if you have antioxidants preventing the release of free radicals, you are going to also delay the formation of senescent cells. So these are different mechanisms. For example, the peptide works by you have the damage, but your cells are really active repairing the damage. The free radicals being neutralized, you are not even cause the damage. So
Yes.
and you
Okay.
need both, you need both, because it's impossible to neutralize all of the free radicals, and it's impossible to repair all the damages. So use all the tools that you have. I think with vitamin C, we usually recommend like the more stable version, because the one that is not as stable, you need to use a lot of preservatives. So in the end, you're kind of loading again
Mm-hmm.
the product with
Totally.
things that are not. And if you see that it starts to oxidize, so that's like the call out that I bring. Like if it starts to oxidize, it's probably not good anymore. So on our sunscreen that we launched last year, we have a more stable version of the vitamin C. And I
Oh,
think this is amazing because, and not only vitamin C, we have green tea, we have acai extract. So we have 5 really powerful antioxidants, and we did the studies in the lab to prove the antioxidant like power, and it worked better than other brands that claim to be antioxidant as well. It was really interesting. Some brands like they were not antioxidant at all, because a lot of times that's the thing. Like if you don't keep the active, like the ingredient in that active, state, it won't work. So that's that for vitamin C. The main problem is that a lot of them oxidize, and then when
yeah.
you're using, they're not really, working anymore. So I love this sunscreen. I don't know if you have used it
Yeah.
yet, but
I have
it's
it here in the
mineral.
tinted.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
mineral and it blends like super nicely. And to me, it just feels like another layer of moisturizer. I love applying. And as a primer for makeup, I think it gives like a little bit of a glow. So I
Oh,
love it.
it's so
It's
great.
yeah.
So I want to finish by talking about that, like how to use. So what's amazing about your brand is there's not a lot of SKUs, so we
Yeah.
can't get confused. You have an eye cream, which is fantastic. You have the face cream, you have the body, and you
Hmm.
have the sunscreen now.
And a
So
cleanser.
oh yeah, the cleanser, which I
Yeah.
love too. I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
one. And also I must say, what's great is all your packaging is refillable. So essentially you only need to buy the refills
Yeah.
afterwards, which is super
Yeah.
nice. You don't have to have the plastic containers every time. So that's a nice touch. Um, but so when I first was introduced to the brand, this was by another friend biohacker. She said, "Oh, this replaces your retinol." But it's so much more than that, really, right? But would you say to when you're using OneSkin, you don't need any strong exfoliants or retinol? What's your take on that?
My take is that so we have tested retinol in the lab, and what it happens is that temporarily, when it's causing that peeling effect and cell turnover, it's gonna cause a little bit of inflammation and even increases some genes associated with aging. So there is a almost like a small compromise that when you're using retinol, and then your skin recovers. Some people recovers really well, and I think it's okay for those. I just usually say don't overuse it. So don't use it every day. Use like 3, 4 times a week. Because if you overuse, what it's also happening is that every time that you strip the upper layers of your skin, you are recruiting the stem cells to grow a newer skin. But you only have so many stem cells to
Mhm.
replace the cells that you are stripping out. So I think there is a balance there of how much you should, induce that cell renewal in a way that is not completely exhausting your tissue. So some people use it I would say, in a way that doesn't cause inflammation, and you combine it with a product like OneSkin that really helps, like hydrating, soothing, and counteracting the side effects. So I personally think it's okay. I used to use retinol and prescription level that I was peeling and red
Yeah.
the whole time. And I was like, oh, I'm getting younger. It's all good, like
I'm
until,
sure that was in Brazil. Was it when you were in Brazil? Because
yes, was
Brazil
definitely
is
when,
the
yes,
capital of dermatology. Like everybody knows in the world are the most,
yes.
gung-ho about all the things about skincare. Yeah.
Yeah. And but honestly, I didn't know that, that peeling, that redness was actually causing like damage,
Mhm.
underneath. And today, if I use retinol, that I use occasionally, I use like where I have like more lines, but I'm never peeling, I'm never, red again. So I know that it's a safe amount, that I'm not causing, any over damage on my skin. And obviously I top it with OneSkin. So I think for those who love, it's not that like you shouldn't use anymore. Just like be mindful of the amount and combine with a product like ours. But for those that maybe have replaced and only OneSkin works for them, I think it's great as well. So
Mhm.
uh, yeah, that's
Good.
my take.
So, maybe a vitamin C, you keep OneSkin. If you're using retinol, you would apply OneSkin on top. Now, do you ever recommend applying a heavier moisturizer on top, sort of to seal it in? Do you feel like that's needed?
I think it will depend on your skin type and even on this, the season of the year. So
Mhm.
right now that's winter, depending on where we are, if it's like very dry and you really need more moisturizer. Yes, I think if you feel that your skin needs more, do it. I usually in the winter I apply another layer either of an oil or a little heavier moisturizer. Uh, but and or sometimes just the sunscreen during the day. I just apply the face and the sunscreen on top, and I feel great. At night that I usually apply, I need another layer. But I think it will, again, some people will be fine just with OneSkin. So it depends on your skin
Totally.
type and the
Yeah.
season of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody like normal to oily might appreciate just because
Yeah.
it's so light. It's almost like a
Yeah.
serum.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find at night I like to have like maybe you can produce something like
I know.
it
Yeah.
would be nice. Amazing. Well, I want to honor your time. I'm so grateful we had this conversation. I am so happy that you are making what you're making because we are needing companies like you, woman owned. Also, your business partner is also a
Yes.
woman. She's also lovely. And I think that the more brands are going to stand, for non-toxic, innovative, trying to reverse aging, use innovation, the more we're all going to heal and rise together. So anything else that you want to add, maybe as a closing remark, or anything that maybe I forgot to bring up about your brand that people need to know?
I think we covered most of it. Yeah, no, thanks, Vanessa, for this opportunity. I think the work that you do, it's so amazing because we need more education, and you needed to go through this journey to, heal yourself. But our goal is to educate people so they don't need to get to that point. And I think we are very aligned, and I think that's the only way that we should move forward, and more people are really becoming aware of it. So thank you for all that you do, and thanks for having me today.
Oh, thank you. And where can people find you and OneSkin?
Yeah. So you can follow us on social at oneskin.co. And I really recommend everyone to sign up for our newsletters on our website, oneskin.co as well. We share a lot of information on content on skin health, on new products that we are developing. So we invite people to be beta testers. We also share a lot of content on longevity. That's really, part of what we do. So only great stuff that we share. But yeah, on our website and our social media.
Perfect. I'll put the links in the show notes. I think I have a link with a discount, so I'm going to put that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
And yes, your newsletter is amazing. It's very well done and it's nice and sweet. I love it. And it's very impactful. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I can't wait to see you again, maybe at the next biohacking conference.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
Okay. To see you soon. The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.